Hi, today I want to show you how you can build an iOS app inside of Despia and how you publish that using our new native AppStore Connect integration. So let's get right started. So as you can see right here on my screen, I already have a Toddle project. And what I want to do in that Toddle project is I want to go on packages and I want to go on newest and I want to make sure that I search for Despia and then I have the Despia package installed and always make sure to keep that package updated as, new exciting stuff is always coming. Now, I do have that package installed now inside of here. The cool thing is every update that happens on the branch link the app is built on, won't need any publishing. So what we're going to do now for debugging or for testing purposes, we're going to open the branch link here and we're going to create a new Despia app under this branch, even though you should probably always create on the main branch for publishing. Despia lets you change which branch the app is actually working on so that you have a cooler staging/testing environment for changes that you're making. So now we want to go to Despia and we want to create a new application. Now, that app name, I don't know, what should we call that app name? We want to make an app, a super simple one. We call that Face ID. I want to show you today how we can use Face ID in Despia. And then I put that URL inside of here. You can change that, but you can change the bundle ID. So make sure that that is the one that you want to keep. And then now we create an application. Now we create an app and we do have that app inside of the Despia interface. And if you need help, we got 24/7 support for you here, to help you, with everything. And we got a great help center and more articles are coming to help you get started, with building your mobile applications using Despia technology. But let's close that inside of here. So now we have that, and there are a few settings that we need to do. It's mandatory before you publish your app, you need to upload an icon. So let's click on side of here and let's, upload an icon. And it needs to be 1024 by 1024. That's mandatory. We'll open that, and now we got that icon. Look at that. Here you go. And now we need to upload also a splash screen, and it needs to be a GIF file. So very important. We need to drop that file inside of here, and this will be a GIF file. The size doesn't matter. Just make sure it doesn't have any background, because then now you can create a custom GIF screen. So you can change the background color. I want it white. Here you go. Now I got that app. Now we do have the one signal integration. We're not going to do that today, but we want to talk about some of the other settings here. Now, there are two Face ID that you can do. You can use the Face ID package, which gives you more flexibility in how you validate this, or you can add the biometric app lock, which won't open your app unless Face ID is verified. Now, in this example, we won't need that, but if you need it, it's just one checkbox. Oh. Okay, gotta look at the checkbox again, but it's just one checkbox. And then we also have for in-app purchases where you can put your shared secret ID, but if you don't offer in-app purchases, we won't do that today, so we don't need that. And then offline screen, I like that offline screen. I'll just keep it how it is, but you could also edit that. And in-app link handling, we don't need that. We're good. We just make a simple app. But what we need is light and dark mode themes. Now in this example, we want our app to always be white even in dark and light mode. So I take the dark mode background color and I just make it white. And then I want the light mode text color to be black and the dark mode text color to be black because the background will always be white even if it's in dark mode, right? This is kind of like the device settings. Also keep in mind, you only have light mode on Android, and in Android you have to do because there's no such thing as native dark mode in Android, you have to do this using our package, to be precise, our change status bar colors package, which you can simply do inside of Toddle and validate if the system is in light or dark mode. And we'll also make an update to the package to make it even easier for you to determine this with classes, and then you can change also your app content and all those things. We'll make that even simpler. It is already very simple, but it's going to be even simpler in the future. But now we got that set up. Now the last thing we'll look at is the view, because the view of the app, the perspective. Because I don't know if you knew that, if you buy the iOS license for Despia, you also get distribution to iPad OS. And if you buy the Android license, you also get distribution to whatever it's called with Android for their tablets. So in tablet mode, you can have portrait, enforced, or landscape. Maybe you want to do landscape if you build like an email app. But in this example, we have auto pre-selected, so they can turn the iPad and the app adjusts. And on mobile, we just have portray enforced, so they can turn their phone and then the app is all of a sudden like all funky. But if you are making a video game, you probably want to do landslide or landscape or auto. So you have it in landside mode, like if they watch videos or whatever, if your app is only videos. But you probably only need portray on mobile. So we got that working. And then, force prevent sleep. We don't want to do that. We don't want the app to never shut down, like unless the user turns off the app, because, that would be that's not needed for our app. But if you make like TikTok, for example, you probably need that, right? And you can actually build TikTok in Despia, but, there'll be a different video. And pull to refresh, I usually don't use that. But if you were to use it, you just turn it on, right? Oh, something's funky with this, with my progressive updating here on that. There you go. You would just turn it off, and then the background color here on dark mode, same as one before, would also be the light background color. And then the spinner color would also be, for example here, the black one, because, you want that text, that spinner color to be, black on a white background, no matter what theme it is. And then maybe you also want the native spinner color for the other spinner to match that spinner color for pull to refresh, and you want to also make that black. You can do all those changes. Then you can say, do we want to collect app feedback? So like rate us on the App Store. If you want, you can turn that on. And we want swipe navigation? So like, mobile apps always have. We can keep that on. And if we want to prevent screen zooming, we'll keep this on. And if we don't want people to prevent it, so people should be able to zoom, we can turn this off. But I don't like if people can zoom into an app. But maybe if you build an app that is like for older people and you want to make it more accessible, you may want to turn that off so they can zoom in and read and it's easier to read. But that's pretty much the native integrations that you have to set up in order to get that app outside of Despia. But then we also have the things that you set up inside of Despia, those native plugins that we have, those native integrations that use native functionality on the device to do those things, from, take a screenshot to, social share, to in-app purchases, to haptic feedback, all those cool things. And they're in your Despia package that you have for Toddle. Or, you can just use the JavaScript and copy them if you use Whist or anything else. But, we don't need to do anything with this right now, because first we can get the apps published, and then the changes will automatically reflect without having to get a new version of the app. We only need to get a new version of the app if anything on this side changes. If those things changes or something in the app changes using the web tool you built that in, you won't have to make an update. So that's a pretty cool thing, even if it uses native functionality. But let's export the iOS project. And now I just click on Build iOS App and Package and Preview. And, I'll make a little cut because I have to pay for that right now. Okay, now we should be able to run this. So let's click on side of here. And now as you can see, it's building the iOS app. And now it's building it actually for Xcode. Now, I just want to show that we can just build this to export the source code using the export code functionality, because maybe if you build this for a client or your business partner or your CTO, maybe they want the source code to fork some things themselves, and you can export the code and you get 2,000 to 3,000 files depending on the current version, OS, and your configurations, and you will be able to open this inside of Xcode, and you do have your native app in here, and you can run it and test it in Xcode. And you can just click on build and it'll build it automatically for you, nothing needed, and you have everything set up that you need to have set up. Take a little bit, because it's like doing this with thousands of files and putting it into an IPA. But now you got that in here and you can run it on a mobile simulator. There you go. And you got that app. And now we can actually test that app with changes that we make in Toddle without having to rebuild the app. So let's say, for example, on this branch that this app is built on. Oh, wrong Toddle project. Oh, I think I got to go all the way back here now. Let's see. Let's go on this project here and let's go on the branch. Yeah. And then on production, you want to publish it on the main branch, right? But this is now for development. So in here, I can add a button. And I can call this scan face, right? And now, here's the thing. I got the app. I have to, this is like the native welcome process. But if I close the app in the simulator and open it again, right, we see the app updated because it takes the updates live from Toddle. So you don't have to publish those updates with the App Store, right? If I make this scan face ID, right? So for that, you don't have to rebuild the app. If you just, the user opens the app the next time, it's updated, right? So that those updates and any updates to the logic, now if I click on that button, nothing happens. But if we click on this button here and add an event on click, and we add biometric verification, and then we do on BioAuth success, and we're going to now have, Despia alert dialog say successful face ID check. Successful face ID check. And then on failure, it's going to say the, alert, Despia alert dialog, unsuccessful face ID check. Here you go. Unsuccessful face ID check with inside of the native Toddle functionality, right? You can build those workflows all inside of Toddle. And I now go back to the Despia simulator and I close this and I open this inside of here. If I click, now it says, authenticate to access your content. And then I can do my PIN and it's going to say successful face ID check. And this logic is all built inside of Toddle. That's how Despia works. Now, this is probably not going to be accepted by the App Store, more than likely not. But, we want to now publish this to the App Store as a simple example from start to finish. So let's close the simulator and let's close the Xcode. You can publish it actually through Xcode if you want to the App Store. You can do this with this file. For that, you would just, let me actually show you that. For that, you would just, open that file and go to the XC workspace. You would open your project, right? You would, make sure that you have it built one time, that it was built on a simulator device successfully. Yeah. And then, once that is successful and starts the simulator, you can close that and you stay in Xcode. Yeah. Now you can close the simulator. You could also verify that it works, right? But we'll go on OK. And then you change this to any iOS device, ARM64. And then you won't be able to build this anymore. That's good. And then you want to go here on product. No, we want to do archive. Where did I put that? Product, run, analyze, archive. Here you go. You want to archive that app. And it says build failed. Oh, because one thing is missing. Let's look at that. We need to add a development team. So what you want to do is you want to go, let's go back here. You want to click on app here and you want to go on target app. And then you need to go on signing and compatibilities. You need to click on team and you need to make your development team inside of here. So this is the team that will sign this app for publishing to the App Store. And then you will see it will update and now it will say, hey, we got that certificate for you. You do the same thing for the one signal verification. You make it on your Apple development team that will publish that app for you. And then you will now be able to go on product and archive this. And now for this, you need Apple hardware, right? You do this in Xcode. And then it's pretty simple. You just say always allow. You put your PIN inside of here and always allow. And now it's going to build the app and thousands of files. It's crunching all those things together for you. But now it will say build successful. And then you'll be going to distribute app and then you can send it to the App Store. That's the manual process. And then you would have to do the bundle ID, but we're going to go through that anyway. But that's the Xcode process. That's the code process. That was the old way of building your Despia iOS app. Now we do have a new way. That is our native integration. And I want to show you how great that works with the native integration. But even though you saw, even the manual process is super simple because we automatically do all that hard stuff for you. But let's make it even easier. Now, if I go to Despia, and I think I lost Despia. Oh no, actually it's here. Here you go. I have auto publish. Now for auto publish, this is amazing. I can automatically do already everything, using our integration. Even though we do suggest for development purposes, you use the code export because, it's a way better and faster way to test this, right? It won't have to go through the actual App Store before you can test your app. But when you are ready and you tested this successfully using export code, and now you want to get, the final version out there on test flight for your beta testers, or you want to now finally get this thing on the App Store. For that, we suggest use auto publish. And now I want to show you how to set that up. So we need to create an App Store app ID. But before that, we need to register our bundle ID. So there are a lot of IDs, but it's going to get demystified in a bit. So we want to go to Apple Developer, Certificates, Identifiers, and Profiles. Now we'll create a new certificate. Actually, no, my bad. We'll create a new identifier. We go on Identifiers and we click on plus. We create App ID, and now we continue. And this will be an app. We go on Continue. And now it's loading a little bit. And then we say Face ID. That's our app name. And now we need to put our Despia bundle ID inside of here. We'll see this down here. We'll copy our Despia bundle ID. Oh, it won't let me copy that. I need to improve this, but it's com.despia.faceid. So we'll put this inside of here. It is com.despia.faceid. Here you go. This is always unique. This is the bundle ID is like the domain for your app, and needs to be signed through Despia because we handle some of the publishing for you this way. And then you need to give it some compatibilities. We need to do app attest and app groups, and we need to go all the way down here, and we need to allow this to work with push notifications. So push notifications, broadcast compatibility. Then we go on continue, register. Now we have a bundle. Oh, an attribute and provided entry has an invalid value. The app identifier com.despia.faceid is not available. Please enter a different string. Oh, so this bundle ID is probably something that I already used in the past, which is probably not the best example here, but we'll try changing that. Let me do that real quick on the database, and we'll pretend that this bundle ID is faceid123. So now, as you can see, our bundle ID is com.despia.faceid123. And now we should be able to continue with the registration process. And you see that was successful. Now there's one more thing that we need to do. We need to go and create another identifier to register our push notifications, our APNs. So we need to make this an app group, and we go on continue, and then we go on description. This will be app group for faceid123. And then the identifier will be, we see that in the dashboard. I gotta add this copy button inside of here. And we got group.com.despia.faceid123.oneSignal, because we use OneSignal to provide GDPR compliant push notification services. So we do group dot, and this is your bundle ID, Despia.com.despia.faceid123.oneSignal. That's the one that you have, simply in the editor inside of here. This one. And what we need to do now is we are going to go to continue and register this app group for the APNs. And then we see our inside of here. We'll just reload the page. And actually, we need to remove this query parameter that Apple has for, only showing the app groups. So now we go to our parameter. Where is that? This is Face ID, right? We go on Face ID on our bundle ID that we already have registered. And we're going to wait a little bit. And then we go on app groups and we go on configure. And then we say app group for Face ID 123. We'll link it with the app group that relates to it. We go on continue, and then we save, so we update that and we modify our app. And now we have that bundle ID registered. Now, with that bundle ID, this is kind of like registering the domain for your app and kind of like the hosting with the app group for push notifications. Now, the next step is we need to go, and actually let's duplicate this tab. We need to go to the App Store Connect. We need to go to apps, and we need to create a new app here. We make a new app, and we'll call this Face ID Tester, right? This is not going to go to the App Store. We'll just keep this as a draft, but it's good for illustration purposes. The platform will be iOS, primary language English US. Bundle ID will be Face ID, and then the SKU will be Face ID. This is just an internal name, how you want to reference to your app. And I'm going to give my whole workspace full access into testing this app, even though it won't let me click that. You would be surprised how many bugs actually Apple has in their stuff. How about we reload the page? That's fun. Here you go. Let's create a new app. Now I can click it. Here you go. Let's make this Face ID Tester. We'll make iOS, primary language, US English, bundle ID, Face ID, com.despia.faceid123. SKU will be Face ID 123. You can name it whatever you want. It's just a caps identifier of your app. We'll create this. And now we have that app set up on AppStore Connect. Now we see there are no builds. There is nothing. You can, you got to provide your marketing material for your app and all that stuff, but I'll show you how to do that. But now the next step is to go under General to App Information. And now we want to go and copy the Apple ID. And now we go back inside of Despia, and we're going to put the AppStore app ID, this is the Apple ID, under the AppStore app in AppStore Connect that we just copied. And now we don't have a development team yet, so we need to create a new development team under which we want to publish the app. So let's go on plus, and now we need to get the team ID. If we go back to AppStore Connect, the team ID is the thing that is in the top right corner here. So I can just copy that. And not AppStore Connect, Apple Developer. Those are like two different things. And we put this team ID inside of here. Now we get the issuer ID. We find this on AppStore Connect. Under users in access, under integrations. And then now we need to create our first API key. And I call that Despia. So I know that Despia is using this key to do things. And it needs to be the app manager. So now we'll generate this. And now we get the issue ID. We need to copy the issuer ID. And we need to go to Despia. And we need to paste this inside of here. And then we do connect API key ID. So we go to the API key that we generated. And we copy the key ID. And then we go back to Despia. And we'll put the key ID inside of here. Now we want to upload the API key. For that, I'll just, where did it go? I'll download the API key. Keep in mind, you can only download it once, so make sure to save it. And then we're going to put the API key on the outside here. And we're going to just drag it in our file uploader to put that API key inside of here. We'll save this. It's going to be saved in our database as a signed file, so it is secure over there. And then we'll connect this with Apple Developer account. Now it's connecting. And now we see we are integrated with our Apple development account for this application. So now I select this development team. I selected the app target, the app that I want to publish this source code to. Now I'm going to click on send to the App Store in one click. It's going to take about half a minute to load this. And then within 3 minutes, you'll see this on the App Store. Connect. And that's how you publish an app using the new integration for auto publish for iOS. Using Despia. It's super simple, and the cool thing is now once this is published, right, whenever you make a change to a title in this version that's on the App Store, you won't have to publish and update again because it's automatically always showing the latest version of your web application. So you don't have that problem of keeping those things in sync if you build a hybrid application, which, you probably have if you build on something like Flutterflow or on DraftBit, right? So you can just make changes on your Toddle account. As long as you publish it to the main branch, they won't have to do an update to get, the new UI, the new feature, the new thing that you use, the Despia package for. But you don't have any compromise in terms of native functionalities because you got the packages inside of Toddle, inside of the interface that you already love, or inside of Whist, or inside of, whatever front-end framework you want to build your app on. So you stay in the environment that you already know, but you won't have any limitations and no performance implications in building a mobile app on there. And that's the beautiful thing about Despia. And again, if you need any help during the publishing, if something goes wrong, if you're not sure what the next step is, please click on the intercom and ask your question. I'm here to help you through this chat, and you get all the help that you need to make your app successful and to make it land on the app stores. But now we want to see if we already have something, even though it will take probably 3 minutes. And oops, I just leaked my database. I probably want to blur that out of the video. There you go. This was at, I don't know which minute. But we got that here. It's made in Xano and Toddle. I'm proud on that. It's great advertisement for NoCode ProCode. But we'll close those things and we'll just look now at the distribution here. Let's click on that again and let's see if already something looks. We go on test flight. This is where we will find all the builds, right? But nothing is, sent over yet. Again, it can take a little bit until we receive those information, but we'll see. I'll also check my email because you also always get nice emails from Apple saying, hey, thank you for submitting your app. It's approved. And actually, Despia apps get approved by the Apple team quite fast. Like I built an app on Friday and it was approved like an hour later. So like they're pretty quick for like the first approval that you get, like for the test flight stuff, for the internal testing. They're pretty quick on those things. So which is good, right? Which is what we want. But yeah, we'll see. We'll refresh the page. Again, it can take a little bit, but it's a pretty cool thing. And now we see we got version 1. So we already have something that changed in here. It's just that the build is still processing on Apple's side. But it was successful. That's a good sign because now it says version 1. But it can now take a few, minutes now to actually send that version from our M2, because what happens is when you click this button, not this. If you click, if you close the intercom, if you click this button, this is actually sending this to a Mac Mini that is in a Mac Mini farm, and it runs this build. It opens Xcode, a robot opens Xcode with the API key under your Apple account and builds that app for you. So you click this button, you have a robot build your mobile app, which is actually pretty cool. And then the robot submits it for you to the internal App Store as a draft so that you can then do the manual approval because we don't trust robots for those things. But this is actually pretty cool. This is why I say you want to, export code for internal testing and auto-publish with the robot only when you actually need to get it to the App Store. Because it's not needed to go through all that process because it's just going to junk up your App Store account and it's going to cost me much more money. Because those robots are not cheap. They're like 30 cents per time you click the button. That's why, starting next year, we'll start charging for clicking that button. Not much. It will be like $19 a month, but then you can click that button, But if you want to click that button, you can get 200 button clicks, 200 build minutes on your account if you buy Despia before the end of the year. So, that offer's on the table and you get like a great discount. But now you see we have that app now sent from the robot that built it for you to the Apple account. And now Apple is processing that app for you. So now we just want to reload that. Oh, now I opened Claude. We just want to reload that and we want to monitor it. It will take about like 30 to 45 seconds till that processing is completed. But now this is actually how you do it. This is how you get your app to the App Store, and it's already on there. You see, like AppStore Connect, your app is processing. All your wildest dreams about web development and mobile development are coming true with Despia, and it works for Wisp, it works for Webflow, it could work with MemberStack, it could work with Bubble, it could work with WeWeb, it works with basically everything that's kind of like JavaScript, even though it works the best with Toddle. And that's what we've looked at. We've tested WeWeb with Despia, and we've tested Wisp with Despia, and we tested Toddle. And because Toddle is server-side rendered, it just makes Despia shine. Because Despia works the best with web apps that are server-side rendered, and you get lightning fast server-side rendering with Toddle. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't make a mobile app that's not server-side rendered. It's just that if your mobile app is not server-side rendered, the performance in using Despia technology will be worse compared to a Despia app that was built using Toddle, because Toddle is so fast, it's so rapid fast with their edge functions, because they delivered the app from where it's closest to the user lightning fast. And with the server-side rendering and the server-side redirects, you just get a way better app experience with no loading spinners, even though you could use our own native loading spinner API, but it just works better with Toddle. That's what we've seen, and this is why we also built Despia inside of Toddle, because we quite believe that Toddle is the future of web development, and we don't use React. We ditched the idea of making this in React. We ditched Wisp. We had the initial MVP built in Wisp. That was a nightmare, and we have migrated the whole Despia front end on Toddle, and I can actually share that with you, but first we'll see if that build is completed. And we will see now that this build is processing. Now it's saying missing compliance, so you click on manage, and then you say I'm not tracking my users. If you track your users, if you do some biometric crazy stuff in there, you may want to add that, but right now it's not needed. So now we want to create an internal testing team, because the way it works with the Apple publishing, you could now publish this app, but you probably want to publish this internally first, so you don't put this on the App Store before you have tested it on your device. So the way to do that is you want to click on internal testing, and we call this Despia team, for example, and you do check enable automatic distribution. We go on create, and then we add a tester, and we'll just add my Apple account to here. Beautiful. And now I'm invited. It'll probably take a little bit. Maybe we have to kick off a new build, but I don't think that is needed. No, you see, now I got an email, Face ID tester, you are invited. You just simply click on that email, and now it's going to open the app inside of TestFlight. You need to make sure that you have the TestFlight app to do this. So now if I click on install, it's going to install the TestFlight application. This is now installing. This is like your private app store that you have access to when you use Despia with our native TestFlight / AppStore Connect integration. You have your private app store with all your Despia apps that are like in draft mode. And now I can actually click on open the app, and it's going to open the Despia app. It's going to have all the native dialogue because it is a real native app. And I can say allow, and let me actually turn off I can't turn off the background. Let's see. No, I can't turn off the blurred background, but I'm just going to go, damn it. I'm going to say allow, and now it's going to say welcome, and now I can click on here, and now it's going to say, Despia wants to use your Face ID, and then you say, allow. And now it's going to scan my face, and now it's saying, hey, Face ID not verified. And you made this all in Toddle. This is not like, and then you can put the password in. And then you can say, no, I cancel that. And now you see the prompt, what it's saying? It's all native. It's all native app functionality, but you didn't build this in Swift. You didn't build this in some crazy language that you never learned of. The logic for all of this on this button is this Toddle action with the native functionality, the way you love developing, whatever framework you use. Toddle is just a great example for this because they are so great. But this is in the language, this is in the mental model that you already know. and you can build scalable experiences like this with it. And now if I actually validate my face, right, and it's successful, it's going to say successful Face ID check, right? It's enforcing this properly. This is not just a game. This actually works, and it won't call that event, unless it was fully verified. Of course, you want to make sure now that you have, like you just don't like deposit $5 every time they make a Face ID check. You probably want to have some cookie on there and, like have proper authentication in place, and Face ID is an add-on to those. When they want to cancel their account or whatever, cancel their subscription, you have them scan your face. But, this is a pretty solid solution, and you can build this natively inside of Toddler. And you saw how fast that was. Like, I don't think that any other technology in terms of speed can compare with this for mobile app development. And it's beautiful, right? It is beautiful. If I open that app here, let me open that again. We have a nice splash screen. We have a great experience, and you can customize those things, right? So if I open that app here, right, you see, you get the splash screen, you got the app, it's lightning fast. I can click on here. I trigger native Face ID functionality in my Toddle app. And it's pretty secure. If I go on cancel, it's going to say, hey, Face ID failed. This is not good. Look at this. So this is amazing. And now, you have that app, and now you want to publish this to the App Store. So let me show you how that process goes. You go to distribution again, and now you have that built, right? I would though suggest, before you publish, go back to Despia, change this to your main branch, right? And then you publish your branch inside of Toddle if you use Toddle, so you don't, while you edit, mess your mobile app up. You probably always want to publish the main branch as your mobile app. But, this is just the idea. This is just the mental model on how Despia works. So we go to distributions, we scroll down, and now we say build. I click on add build. I'm going to select the build version that I want to publish to the App Store. I go on done. That's all I need to do. And then you need to fill in, of course, your description, your marketing, your copyright, your promotional text, your screenshots, and you want to put in your app privacy. And you want to put your privacy URL, but then you just click on publish, and your app is sent to the App Store. They'll review it. It'll probably get approved. If it won't get approved, you got your live chat in here, and we'll help you get it approved. But most of the times will get approved unless you try to submit complete crap to the App Store. Because the approval process, like normally if you build an app using a web view technology or using like those wrappers out there, they most of the times don't meet the minimum functionality requirements that Apple has. That's actually a legitimate thing. If you Google Apple minimum functionality, here you go. If you do Apple app review guidelines, and there is this whole thing about minimum functionality that there are multiple pages about, guideline minimum functionality, design. It needs to be functional. There are a lot of things, a lot of people that try to use web views that get rejected. Now, Despia uses different technology because Despia is actually 2,000 files. The thing that we exported here is 2,000 files. So it does meet the minimum functionality requirements. You can always build something that is completely utilityless. For example, I said like this Face ID tester app is probably not going to be approved at all by the App Store, because what it's doing is you open the app, it scans your face, and then it says, hey, that's not your face. This, even though it is 2,000 files and it uses Face ID, will probably not be approved because the app doesn't have a utility. So what you want to ask yourself when you want to publish an app to the App Store, does this app have any kind of utility? And if it has a utility, and if it doesn't look like a nightmare, because Apple likes to keep their reputation high, and they like to have things that look good on the App Store, if it looks pretty decent or okay, and it's not what we built today, and it actually has a use case, it will get approved by the App Store, because the minimum functionality thing is not an issue with Despia, because you can add, functionality super easy. And, if you want to make a silly app where you click on the screen and it counts up, you can always say this is a fidgeting app. It's going to help people with, with mental health. And then when they say, no, there is no functionality on that, you just go to the button and you add haptic feedback, and then you go with heavy. and then you resubmit that app and you attach a study how haptic feedback when fidgeting can improve people's wellness. And, then you make your case, and then, Apple will probably approve that. So it's kind of like, it's a little bit like being a lawyer. You got to make your case with Apple if you build something completely silly for the App Store. But here's the thing. Now I have added Face ID heavy if I click on it. And now if I open my test flight app again and click on this button, actually it is Despia haptic feedback heavy. Here you go. Yeah. And let's just remove the bio ID, and then we'll call this vibrate. Here you go. So now if I actually open that app again, it's going to vibrate. I don't know if you can hear that, though. ASMR. Now I have Face ID. Now, also what you want to do, if you have multiple things at the same time, so you have heavy and then you do Face ID, you probably want to add a sleep. I don't know, for like 50, I think you should do 50, right? And then you do BioAuth, just because you got to make a little bit of latency here, just the way the mobile app works. So if you want to have a feedback, you got to make a super little delay, and then you set it to a Face ID. And then you can have two native functionalities under each other. Let's see. Here you go. And it could even be lower. But now if I click on here, it's going to vibrate, and it's going to show Face ID. Now, if you don't have that super little latency to it, right? And if you just have Face ID, and directly under here, oh, let's just delete that, add BioAuth in your action, it's going to run them at the same time. And, then kind of like your device is going to get a little bit suspicious. So if I click on here, it will only do Face ID, because that is something that's a little bit more, runs a little bit faster actually, but it won't vibrate, because just the way haptic feedback and those other actions work. So actually, when you want to do haptic feedback, you do have the on-vibrate event. So you could either add a delay, so you can add a sleep in here and then run this Face ID code after the vibrate. And Toddle's copy is actually pretty bad today. And then you can run this after the vibrate here, actually with a lower latency, with like 50 milliseconds. And then it won't work. It will work. Let's reload that app. It's super simple. You just do this, reload the app, open the app again, and you can test the updates as you make them in the Toddle editor on your phone. This is why I say, when you start Despia, the moment you have a white canvas in Toddle, it's probably a good idea to get started building this with Despia, because you want to test while you build to make a better experience. But when I click on here, it's vibrating, and I have Face ID. You sadly have to take my word for that, because there is sadly no vibration on YouTube yet. But, I don't know if you can hear that. They got Face ID. But, this is how you make changes. But you also have on vibrate on the callback. So you could also, let's actually see if that works, because it just needs to run after it. If you do it under here, it's just trying to run it at the same time, and then it's getting confused. So, but if we have the on vibrate event here, and I put this Face ID under here, it should work. Let's try that. Actually, it's not working, because I do think we need a little bit of a delay. So that's good to know. So we want to do a sleep, and let's try 50. And then on that sleep after this, their copy paste used to be better. And then, we have that inside of here, and then it will vibrate. So now if I reload the app, and this is why I say, testing your app, as you build your web application in there is actually pretty cool. Now it will vibrate, and we do have Face ID. And I want to see how low we can get the latency. It's pretty quick, because, so like I click this and I get Face ID. It's like super quick, 50 milliseconds. But let's see, will it work in 10 milliseconds? Let's see. I want to see, I want to test the limits of this thing. So we'll go and we'll try the app. Click on here. Yeah, and it vibrated, and I got Face ID. So 10 milliseconds, it works on 10 milliseconds. Let's try this on 5 milliseconds. Let's open the app. I'll click on here. It does work on 5 milliseconds. Let's get this down on 1 millisecond. Let's reload that. Let's open the app, new app, click on here. It does work on 1 millisecond. Here you go. And now I want to make this 0 millisecond. I want to try that again. And it does work on 0 millisecond. So if you add a sleep of 0 milliseconds and then in that sleep you put your other native functionality, they can run at the same time without an error because they do run after each other. The issue is, again, Toddle is pretty fast. If you put them under each other, they pretty much run at the same time, causing issues in how they communicate. So you add a sleep, 0 seconds, and then on tick of that, once it's over, you run that event. You probably want to do 1 millisecond maybe, so you don't just, are super on the edge of actually, will it work this time? But, this is how you can then have 2 actions at the same time. And I think I may come up with a cooler part to solve this in the package. But yeah, it does work. That's pretty cool. So we got that. And, now you can do those native functionalities. And the cool thing is, whenever you do a change in Toddle, you just, open your app on your iPhone and see how that change works. And then, you just debug while you build your application inside of Toddle, and you can always test it out. And it's now through the App Store on test flight. And we can now just, click a button and publish it on the App Store. Showed you how that works. Select your build, then add your description, privacy policy, click on publish, it's sent for review, and you're good to go. And if you have any questions, the support, and I do the support, is always here to help you. So I'm always here to help you all the time. And wherever you need help with, just let me know, and we'll figure things out together, and how we, have your mobile app be as amazing as, the top apps on the App Store. But I really appreciate watching this video. I really appreciate you watching this video. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for your trust. I really appreciate that. And I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I wish you all the best in building your mobile apps, and let's have fun with that. Thank you so much. And if you're interested in Despia, please go to Despia.com and, check out all the information we have on there and all the cool videos in the Help Center. I do think, we'll have a lot of great mobile apps on the App Store. And the cool thing about Despia is, and this is why I really love it, the idea that I'm working on, this idea, and why I came up with that is, mobile development is always, it takes time. It takes so much time. I wanted to build a way where mobile development is as fast as web development. And today we saw how fast Despia actually is. And, if you want to make mobile applications super fast, I do think that Despia is the best solution for that. And they can actually scale. Because we don't charge you by users. We don't charge you by app users. The only thing we charge you on is per app, per operating system. And if you use excessively the auto-publish, we have the right, because we kind of have a policy with auto-publish where you can do auto-publish, we don't mind. But if you make it excessively, we'll be asked to upgrade to a plan that's $19 a month, because auto-publish is expensive. It costs us 30 cents every time you click that button. So the moment it doesn't make sense, we'll probably come back to you and say, hey, you published an app 30 times this week, we're sorry, but you reached your 200 limit for publishings that are free. So, you can pay $19 a month to publish all the apps in your workspace for 50 hours. And you got 50 hours of resources for you. And it's pretty cheap. I think it's pretty cheap compared to other things in the industry. Or maybe we'll make it 29, or I don't know, or maybe we'll make it affordable. Other tools charge $50 per build, and there is another competitor that charges $37 for the app, and then they charge you a $300 a year fee to keep your app up, otherwise they'll cut it off, and all those things. So I do think Despia is the cheapest way to do those things. You can look at competitors, and it's the best and the most high quality way. And this is why what I really love about it. And this is why I use it myself, right? Because it's a cool way and it's an easy way to make high quality web applications, high quality mobile applications out of web applications without any compromises, right? You can do the same thing that you could do in a mobile app. Now, there are some things we, restrict just based on we don't want to have you get access to your user's context because Apple is going to, make it harder for you to publish your app. But those are things you can update the code base yourself and add those things in there, right? Or, on enterprise agreements, we can add those things for you in there, and then we'll argue with Apple why this is a good idea to have that in your app. So there are no limitations from a technical perspective on what can be done with Despia. It's just a matter of, okay, we won't put NFC as a main feature in there that everybody has access to, for example, because every NFC reader has different specifications. So like we would have to like put every SDK for every NFC company in your app file. So if you want NFC, we'll probably make this like as a custom integration for you, and you would have to send in like an NFC card and what provider you want to use, just because they are all different. Same thing if you want to use the contacts and want to get the contacts, we will have to argue with Apple for you why they should approve your app if you get access to their contacts, and we have to kind of like make a statement why it's secure and all those things. And if you want to use that service, we're going to charge you a little bit for that. It will be like a custom enterprise, but it won't be like a monthly thing. It will be a one-time thing you can pay if you want those enterprise features access to. But you get Face ID for free, and the competition is charging you $5,000 for that. So I do think it's the cheapest and the best way to build mobile apps right now on the market. And if you want to learn more of that, go to Despia.com, and I appreciate your time, and I wish